Let's begin by opening up in your working folder a document with the name 201_2715581.jpg from our friends at photospin.com. Now this chapter is about levels and curves. This class that I'm teaching is a basic course on Photoshop. I don't consider levels and curves basic, but to me, if you have a fundamental understanding of how levels and curves manipulate data in an image, it gives you a whole different outlook on how Photoshop works. These are fundamental tools. They've been there since the beginning. Now, there's a lot of other ways we can do things in this program besides levels and curves. But if you understand them, you really understand Photoshop. So we're going to take a whole chapter and play around here. Let's start in this lesson with this image with levels. Now, there's a couple of ways I can get it. I can click this button right here, the half moon icon, and go up to levels and select it from here. That's an adjustment layer. That's working smart. I can click this button if you have the adjustments panel open right here. Do the same thing, get an adjustments layer. I can come up to the word image and go down to adjustments and select it here, and I get this. That's not an adjustment layer. Understand that. If I do it from the pull-down menu, and there's reasons why, and there are cases where you're going to do that. But if I do that here on this image to adjust it, I am actually changing the original image. That's destructive editing, and I want to avoid that. So let's not do it here. Let's cancel out of that. Click here or down here, either place, and go into levels. Adjustment layer. Adjustment layer mask. Adjustments properties right up here. A button for the mask and a button for the adjustments. You do have presets. Now let's talk a little bit about what is going on here. This is a histogram. Let me show you that in a different way. Go up to the word window on the pull-down menu and go down to histogram right here. Now I'm going to pull that out of here and put it over here. I'm going to click this option button here and tell the computer I want to expand the view. And I'm going to come back up again and say I want all channels. There you got the red, the green, and the blue. Notice they're different. And you can see how they overlap and mix up here. Each channel is different. Different amounts of red, green, and blue make up the image. Let's come back over here and go back into our properties for levels. This histogram matches the one up here. This one's just in color. But what are we really looking at? You have three buttons, sliders if you will, down here. 1, 2, 3. This one controls black. It's also called a shadow slider. This one's midtones, gamma, and this one is highlights or whites. Everything in between is like a big Microsoft Excel bar chart. Think of it this way. Every pixel in this image has a number assigned to it for its brightness and percentage of color. And that number is a number from 0 to 255 on an 8-bit image. When you look at the pixels, every pixel has that number assigned to it. So let's say this pixel right here is a 128. Now that's in the middle between 0 and 255, so that would put it like a mid-tone. Well, the computer adds up how many 128s there are in the entire image, and there could be thousands, if not millions, and gives me a bar. What we see is like a white mountain, in a sense. What we're looking at is 256 individual bars. You can see we got a lot of black. See how it goes up here? And then we have a lot in the midtones, and then it starts falling off as it gets toward the lighter colors. That is the fingerprint of this image. When I move these sliders, I redistribute the dynamic range of the image. For example, this is black. If I pull it in, watch the image. Well, it's going to start getting darker, but understand what I just did, besides remap my histogram. I'm telling the computer that you're starting way over here and you got all the pixels selected, and that's at 0. I'm saying to the computer, every pixel that had a brightness level from 0 to 55, throw them away. Make that black. Let's go ahead and take that back this way. If I go to this one, I'm clipping my whites. Now, it looks like it's blowing it out, but I'm saying to the computer, you started out over here at 255. You had all the pixels. I'm telling you, any pixels that have a brightness level from 152 all the way to 255, throw them away. And we don't want to usually do that either. Let's go ahead and take that back. If I come to this one, That's the gamma. It's kind of like a bell curve, and you're moving where the height of the bell is, and it's giving you an overall, without clipping information, a lighter or darker image all around. So if I go here and move it this way, I can lighten or subtly darken the image. In addition to what we just did, notice we are on RGB up here, and if you click, you see a red, a green, and a blue. If you change all three channels at the same time, you're impacting the tone of the image. So when we move this middle slider, we're not shifting colors, we're making the image lighter or darker. If I go up here and choose a color, like say green, and I begin moving this one right here, I'm changing the colors in the image because I'm redistributing green along the dynamic range from black to white. So levels and curves. Curves is similar in what we're doing right now. Levels and curves control base information within the image. They shift the histogram, which is actually the image. It's the fingerprint of the image. Let me go ahead and do this. This button here means reset. If I do all three at the same time, I'm impacting the tone of the image. If I do one at a time, I'm impacting the color. Levels is an amazing tool to work with. Like I said, it's been there forever. Been there since the very beginning. In the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and use this image again. So if you want to leave it open, be my guest.